All right, all right. Hey guys, welcome back to the Underground. This is Interactive Chat Volume 53. We have made it over the hump and we are well on our way to hitting that big 100. What is up, everybody? My name is AJ. Hopefully, you're all doing well out there. Happy holidays to everybody. Hope you're, like I said, getting the chance to spend some time with family, play some awesome games. At the very least, just get some time, some R&R, get to relax a little bit, chill out, put your feet up, drink your favorite glass of wine by the fireplace, because we're classy around here. We're classy like that. We drink wine and play VR. Oh, what is up, guys? This is, of course, our weekly, every single Thursday, except for last Thursday, rain or shine, Solo Man podcast, where we talk about everything: news, reviews, announcements, discussions, all the good things here and there happening in PSVR2 land. And I like to interact with you guys, and I like to say what's up to GameCat Chicago, Silos XP1. Hello again, my friend. Flame Hat the Game Cat, A Dizzle, what up, man? Move Master Mick, Big Frog, yo, Robbie B, Scott the PSVR Game Cat for life, Big Fat Frog, my dude. Merry Christmas to you, happy holidays, all those good things. Soon to be happy new year, guys. 2024 is approaching, and we have, well, I guess we have a little bit of an idea as to what to look forward to, but really, there's a lot that we don't know about that I really look forward to seeing at some point. But man, we have a lot to talk about today. The games, man, coming right off the heels of Resident Evil 4, which was absolutely excellent. Thoroughly, I've been playing the hell out of that and having lots of fun with it. So I just haven't been able to keep up with all the games, man. Holy crap. There's been so many games releasing after Resident Evil 4. We're going to talk about some of those games, including Breachers VR, which just stealth dropped yesterday, apparently by accident, but that's okay because they got it patched last second. Apparently the game released before it was ready, and they had an update that they were waiting on, and they had to contact Sony and push it through, but oh my God, you guys. So, like I said, we've got a bunch of stuff. I'm also going to be doing a couple highlights from the end of year holiday sale because there's some insane deals going on with PlayStation Network right now. Some amazing deals on some PSVR2 games you don't want to miss. And this is, of course, some footage, some good old footage of Vertigo 2, which you can't wait for that to come out. I look forward to getting back to that too. Obviously the release got delayed. I kind of am thankful about that. I know many of you aren't, but there's just been too many games. But man, so let's kick things off, guys. Usually, I'm super hyped about all the announcements, the games releasing, everything, and I am still, as always. However, we have some breaking news that just happened a little bit before the show that I want to definitely get into and talk about. And that involves Firewall 0 Hour. First Contact Entertainment has brought to us some unfortunate news that FCE is going to be shutting down. Not just ending support for the game and all that, but they're actually, the entire studio is shutting down. And that's big, man. That's big. Not the kind of thing I like to hear. But let's see what they have to say about it, because this goes beyond just FCE shutting down. There's a whole conversation to be had about the whole state of the industry as well. Dad Breath says, you live by the aim controller, you die by the aim controller. Oh, brutal. Anyways, okay, guys, so let's go ahead and take a look at what FCE had to say. Let's get rid of this footage real quick. Today they announced, First Contact Entertainment says, after almost 8 years of working with the most amazing team I've ever had the pleasure of being a part of, I'm sad to announce that we will be closing our company, First Contact Entertainment, by the end of the year. The lack of VR support within the industry has eventually taken its toll. As a AAA VR game developer, we are just not able to justify the expense needed gouging forward. We are a team of fearless innovators willing to push new technologies to its limits. I'm extremely proud of the team and grateful to our investors, our partners, and of course our community of dedicated and passionate players. It's been a wild ride. Thank you. Hands, heart thing. So sad news, man. You never like to see this. It's Firewall 0 Hour was one of the best VR games of all time, in my opinion. I think it's still arguably the number one game. I mean, it was always between, for me personally, on PSVR1, it was between Firewall, Astrobot, and Resident Evil Village. Maybe Saints and Sinners as well. Yeah. Some good games there. But so like I said, man, super sad news. But I'm going to be honest with you, man. I take a little bit of issue with, here's the thing. I'm not affiliated with Sony. I'm not affiliated with any developers. I'm not an ambassador. I can say whatever the hell I want to say and share whatever opinion I want to say. And first and foremost, I will say, I'm deeply sorry to everyone at FCE, especially right before the holidays. It's not, I'm sure that's going to really suck for a lot of them. I'm sure a lot of them will land on their feet and find hopefully some other places. I'm sure there's tons of talented people there. But there's a couple things going on here. I saw some other posts about from them about the reason they're shutting down, or basically just announcing that they're shutting down. But this post in particular kind of struck a nerve with me a little bit. In particular, the part where it says the lack of support for VR within the industry has eventually taken its toll. So while there is some truth to that, obviously, there's been lots of discussions about the state of the VR industry. Even this guy here, I don't know this guy very well, but I did find it kind of interesting what he pointed out here. This Anton Hand guy, he's with the H3 VR. He says there's many red flags in VR, but boy howdy if the biggest one isn't Asgard's Wrath 2 being an $80 million game given away for free with the Quest 3, and it hasn't cracked 2K ratings on the store a week after launch. For reference, a strong launch a year ago was 8K plus ratings in the same name. That's how dead the market is for stuff like this right now. Now, I have seen some developers that I've talked to and stuff. They have talked about using kind of like the rating system for whatever. And he's, of course, referring to the recent release of Asgard's Wrath, which got a 10 out of 10 from IGN and is a pretty big deal. It looks fantastic. It's definitely something I would be interested in if it came to PSVR2, or if I had I guess I have a Quest 2, but and like I said, with FCE saying the lack of VR support in the whole scene, the market, there is definitely some truth to that. But let's be real here. Let's be really real here. The launch of Firewall was an absolute disaster. That's not the lack of VR support, the smaller market, which I've come to terms now. I think a lot of people predicted VR to be a little bit ahead of where it is right now in terms of growth, in terms of market share, because we've definitely seen it explode here and there within the last 5, 6, 7 years. And we've seen like lots of healthy growth. It's been slow, kind of organic growth, which is what I have always said. I think it needs to stick with that, not get ahead of itself, just kind of slowly keep growing, slowly keep making the right moves here and there, inch by inch, keep it going. And I think it is doing that right now. And I think it's going to continue doing that right now. There's been huge steps forward taken in terms of the technology and everything like that. When it comes to Firewall Ultra in particular, I don't think this was necessarily a case of the VR support in the industry being lower. I'm sure that that's a small part of it, but let's be honest here. Like I said, the game, this is a multiplayer focused game that was launched with broken multiplayer. You could not squad up and play matches. A lot of the stuff with this game was where there was a lot of things, a lot of way that Firewall Ultra has been handled. You know, a lot of people complained about different things with Firewall Zero Hour. And while I'm sure there was some legitimate complaints and whatnot, there were, at the end of the day, the game success and the player base, the community that was actually playing it, the numbers, it was literally the only VR game that always had a player base. That wasn't there because there was more support back in the day. That was there because the game was awesome and was really, really fun to play, and it functioned really well. Yes, some people called it a lobby simulator sometimes. To be honest with you, I never really had that problem with Firewall Zero Hour. Most of the time, if I got stuck in a broken lobby or something, I would just exit and go back in. Boom, done. Some people sat there for like 45 minutes in a lobby, and then they just sat there doing nothing, and they're like, it's broken, it doesn't work. And it's like, well, I mean, while it would be better for it to just smoothly connect and everything, it's like, well, there's ways around that. There's workarounds for that. And literally all it took was backing out and going back into the lobby, and boom, a new game with tons of new people. There's been, with Firewall Ultra, there's been a lot of red flags that I've tried to point out for quite some time. Like I said, while there is some truth to the market not being this exploding, booming thing where you can invest in AAA VR and actually make your money back or break even or profit just yet, there are ways to wisely go about things, and releasing a broken game is not one of them. But there's been a couple red flags for a while now. You know, when Adam Orth was the head of the studio, I think, back then when the original game launched. He's a guy that's very experienced. I'm not the biggest fan of him, but regardless of how I feel about him, he was good at and very experienced at managing the game, managing the studio, and was able to make Firewall Zero Hour a huge success. He left, I think, right after the game launched, I believe, and then they supported it for several years after. It was great. Let me get some Firewall footage here. And so the first red flag was stuff like seeing Shabs leave, who was another lead developer. And I started to become worried because a lot of the times when a studio is very successful, most of the time when they repeat that success, they have a lot of the same people in place that have just gained experience and are able to execute the next game even better. But unfortunately, that's not really the way the games industry goes. These are, at the end of the day, there's lots of companies. These are companies, and a lot of the times there's change in management, personnel, leadership, things like that, and that's when stuff can kind of go wrong. Now, some of the other signs leading up to launch that kind of made us a little concerned was things like you know, when they first showed the trailer for Firewall Ultra, I remember a lot of people being very excited about like them showing off the eye tracking, and I remember being on Gamescast and pointing out like that doesn't look very immersive or fun, like throwing grenades with your eyes, aiming with your eyes. You know, the menu thing was cool, but not as cool as actually physically grabbing the loadout from your body, your back, your hip, all this stuff. Um, but you know, that's, to me, it's like these are the standards. This is why I say the slow growth is better, because one by one by one, where these standards have been made, these standards have been set in terms of, like, you know, what works, what do people enjoy the most. Things like manual reloading, which this game, you know, they announced that wasn't going to have it at launch. They did say, when people started to freak out about it, myself included, they came out and said, well, we're going to release an ultra mode later, that will have like manual reloading. But manual reloading is like something, again, that's like a standard. Like, you look at like something like the Resident Evil games, it's like they don't convert everything to VR, but what they do is the core stuff that's really important, the stuff that's really important to the gameplay. And games like Pavlov, Crossfire, have shown that, you know, this is what gamers enjoy. There's something very tactile about the way it functions and feels. It's more immersive for gameplay. But they kind of were just going about their own way. I was actually the one glimpse of optimism I had for Firewall Ultra was that, hey, this is mostly Firewall 0 Hour, and just like, it's like, what were we calling it? Firewall 1.5. Because Firewall 0 Hour was perfect. Really, in order for this game to be successful, I think all you had to do was literally remaster the first game, and then maybe just add like manual reloading. Since you don't have the aim controller anymore, add manual reloading, add dedicated servers, boom, done. That's it. And then you can build off it from there. But they tried to completely like overhaul a bunch of things, and I know none of this stuff is easy, but I'm just talking about in terms of, like, you know, you already have everything you need to make this game successful. So the direction that they took it, while they made some improvements like the graphics updates and moving to Unreal Engine 5 and utilizing some of the new technology and having dedicated servers were great. In the end, it's like you killed the gameplay experience with a lot of these decisions. And I think at the end of the day, the game launching broken is what sunk this game. And I said it before, like, they would have to pull basically a Hello Games or a No Man's Sky situation to survive this. Sadly, that's rare. Like, that is the reason. I mean, that's why Hello Games and No Man's Sky is such one of the biggest comeback stories. No, the biggest comeback story in gaming, is because that just usually doesn't happen. And then on top of that, you know, it's just, while something like that could have saved this game, the likelihood of it was never really, the chances were pretty slim to begin with. So it's really, really sad, but you know, like I said, I hope all these developers land on their feet. I do hope to see them not give up in the industry completely. I hope they land someplace where they can work out. But man, it's such a disappointment, because this is, you know, things like this are the reason that the industry, the VR industry, is not taking off, booming like it should. Releases like this do not help PSVR2, do not help VR as a whole. This game was literally a headset seller. This was, I always said, like, Firewall 0 Hour was a headset seller of an unknown IP, of a brand new IP. That's also rare, because things like, you point to like this Asgard's Wrath game and Anton showing out the numbers or whatever by using the rating system, which isn't always accurate. It's a clear indicator that it is rare for games that are new IPs to really take over, to really help explode the VR scene. That's a huge disadvantage that VR games have, is that, you know, they rarely go out and make people buy headsets and stuff. And Firewall 0 Hour was an example of one of them. And that's why that game was incredibly special. I had never, ever seen so many people go out and buy headsets just for one game like that, that was not an already existing and well-known IP. So it was really a special case there. And it sucks, man. It sucks because now this game's not going to get the manual reloading. Servers might get shut down. A lot of people, myself included, paid for this game, and now we have to just sink that cost. Thanks for, wasting my $60. This is definitely a worst case scenario where nobody wins. I think they just announced a season pass the other day. But yeah, man, it really, really sucks. And, this could have been prevented. Firewall could have been a much more successful story had they made some better decisions here. Things like manual reloading, things like just taking the first game and remastering it. And then, of course, like I said, there is some truth to the VR industry not being as dominant as it could be right now. But again, this is stuff that leads to that. This is not stuff that is a reaction to that. This is a cause. Things like this, the launch of Firewall, the launch of Hellblade, the launch of Green Hell VR, these things are what kill VR. They don't help it. These are reasons. These are contributing to the lack of VR exploding. So I don't want to hear that there's a lack of, support in the industry when you're kind of a contributor to that. But again, that being said, I don't want to kick them while they're down because obviously it sucks. And I do wish them the very best. But now we're going to have to wait for, something else to come along. No, it's Ryan, the game feline, my metal feline friend. What is up, dude? Says, even if overall VR sales are down, I swear this community in particular, without Pearl/Underground, has grown immensely over the years. Yeah, we certainly have. I mean, at this point, I believe I wouldn't be surprised if we're, maybe even possibly the majority of the player base, the VR player base. Obviously, there's more people, but I've literally, between us, between Reddit, between whatever other little minor outlets there, yeah, I mean, I feel like we are it, man. Like, we are it. We are the last of the Mohicans. But there's room for growth, like an expansion, if the games are there, if the marketing is there, if the technology is there. Personally, it's an interesting conversation that this whole situation brings up, because really when I've thought about this several times about Sony's approach to VR and PSVR2, and I loved what they did last gen, minus some of the marketing. I still had a problem with some of the marketing, but it did get better. But I do, obviously Sony expected VR to be a lot more ahead of what it is right now, more people willing to invest. And I think they got ahead of themselves a little bit, because I'm going to be honest with you. I personally love the PSVR2 headset. I love the haptics. I love the adaptive triggers. I love the eye tracking. But we have to ask ourselves, was it the right decision making that versus just making kind of like a 2.0 headset with, better resolution, higher resolution, and then, kind of minimalistic upgrade. And then what the advantage there is that you get to charge a cheaper price for it because it's not as expensive to develop. Now, I don't regret a thing in terms of like them, what they decided to put into it. I think it's awesome. I also can see, I can also see it being a little bit of jumping the gun, a little bit too ahead of its time. As an example, they have all this amazing technology in the PSVR2 headset, and most developers don't even use it. Things like eye tracking with foveated rendering. Now you can see that it is amazing technology when it's utilized properly. Things like No Man's Sky, Gran Turismo. It allows you to make like these AAA looking games, 4K looking games and everything. But you got to ask yourself, man, at the end of the day, what are people going to buy? They're going to buy cheaper products. The price is a big point here. And while the price of PSVR2 is worth it, with the technology that's all in it, at at the end of the day, it costs $550, and which is more than a PS5. And I think people have shown when VR was really starting to take off that you get it around that 200, 300, or yeah, 300 price point, and then people are willing to kind of take a chance on it a little bit more. So it is interesting to see. I mean, it's not surprising to me that, it's not selling millions upon millions upon millions, because quite frankly, when it's something that expensive, it's a luxury item. It's not something that's designed to, fly off the shelves overnight. It would need to be around $200, no more than $300, to gain like mass adoption, because that's a much less easier risk to take than $550. So it's kind of interesting. I think Sony are definitely ahead of the game a little bit with PSVR2. I think it'll take a little bit of time as more developers utilize the hardware more. As it becomes cheaper, they can start discounting the headset a little bit. I think we'll start to see it kind of uptick a little bit more. I mean, I think it's doing fine right now. Actually, there was a recent quote from one of the it was one of the marketing guys, Eric Lampel, actually went on and said, I don't have the direct quote in front of me, but Eric Lampel said, he commented recently as well, saying that, VR is PSVR2 is selling well, okay enough, but it's not exploding like they were hoping. Why is the chat like this too? And let's see if this can fix it a little bit. My chat's all messed up now. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, it's just expensive right now, and while gaming has been awesome for us as consumers, things have not been as nice for developers, unfortunately. And we've seen that with all the layoffs going on, with all this stuff going on here. I'm gonna just move the chat here for now. Let's see here. et.2k9.now. Whoa, $20. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate the donations. Says, hope you have a very Merry Xmas, AJ. Stay frosty, cats. Dude, thank you. That is very generous, man. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to all you cats out there. Like I said, I hope you're spending some quality time with some family and more importantly, some good gaming. Yes, I said it. But let me see what you guys got to say here, because I like to interact with you. I like to see what you guys are talking about as well. Mzadi says, you got to remember, AJ, that most people had a name controller in the first game and it was a button push. They were always even lazy in the first game. No, I actually disagree with you there. I don't think, a lot of people gave FCE lots of heat about a lot of heat about the way they were managing the game. And honestly, like, while some of it was like, kind of valid criticisms, I think I disagreed with most people. Some people were like raging about, some of the things with Firewall 0 Hour, and I didn't have those issues with that game. The funny thing is, it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way, almost. Because all the complaints that they had about that game, I feel like are now valid with Ultra. I didn't feel like they were valid before, but I do feel like they're valid now. Oh man, you guys don't have to do that, man. I appreciate you, but Roy Martini, thank you so much, man. With the donations, is here's something to help reimburse your Firewall Ultra purchase. Thank you so much, man. I mean, I'm not up here asking for a refund for it. I had a bad feeling when the community manager didn't even know where the keys were. I was like, okay, I wasn't buying that for 1 second. When he's like, I don't know who's got the keys for the game. Really, dude? I mean, come on. I'm not stupid. Not in that way, anyways. Shapeshifter, the Anamorph game cat, says hashtag get AJ's Firewall Ultra money back. No. You guys, you get your money back. And hopefully I can help you save with other games and make recommendations, especially with the sale today. Silver Nexus, thank you so much. Not much of a Christmas card, but I'm a proud patron. You make Christmas suck. Just a little less. Thank you, man. Mark Doust says, totally agree. Price point is killing PSVR2, as is lack of marketing. Yeah, I mean, I think the price, it's not that it's overpriced or anything. It's just they invested quite a bit into PSVR2. And on the plus side, it's not going to age as fast as PSVR1 did. I mean, PSVR1 launched dated. But if you look what they did there, look how conservative they were there. And they used Move controllers, which had already existed. They kind of they went about it a little bit more in a smart way. That to me is smart business. Yes, it had its drawbacks and everything, but that is smart business when there's a lot of unknowns in a market, that's brand new. VR is still in its infancy, and, making moves like that is smart. So it was kind of a surprise to me how much they invested in the technology with PSVR2, when they really could have just given us a headset with higher resolution, better tracking. Honestly, they probably could have just done that, charged $200 for it, $250 for it, and probably would have been much more successful. What was that? Something just fell. But again, I am appreciative of Sony really trying to push the boundaries here and make something headset that is truly next gen, truly the highest of tech possible. And to be quite frank, developers weren't even ready for it. I mean, all these VR developers talk about, this is the best technology is here and there, but then they get something as awesome as PSVR2 and they don't even know how to use it. So it really, really was a little bit ahead. PSVR2 at this moment is a little bit ahead of its time, which is good for us in some ways, but also in terms of the growth of it and everything is you're starting to see some of the drawbacks. Like Roy Martini, cheers, once again says, honestly, they future-proofed the headset. It's going to last at least the rest of this generation, probably 6 to 8 years at this rate, and probably be usable on PS6. Who knows? I agree. I totally agree. It is definitely future-proofed. That is the good news here. Bad Robo says, if we didn't have eye tracking, we wouldn't have GT7, RE4. We would have had, but with the resolution from PSVR 1. Well, I mean, possibly, but what about what about the fixed foveated rendering? I mean, that maybe could do it. Maybe it wouldn't have the same fidelity as eye tracking itself, but you're talking about there's not many games that utilize it. And that's what I'm saying here is, I think you could have made those games run and look pretty good, even with fixed rendering, but the eye tracking and foveated rendering, obviously that's better. But I mean, there's not even enough developers using it yet, and that's problematic. If every developer was using it, then I'd be like, it's obviously it's being utilized, it's being taken of, it's worth investing in because developers are using it. Well, Sony gave these developers these tools and they're not even completely using it. We're still getting games that look like Quest games. We're still getting games that are using the lowest common denominator, minus the stuff that Sony is funding, like Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil Village, Gran Turismo, things like that. So it's definitely a double-edged sword there. But at the end of the day, we have a badass headset. Now it's if developers want this headset to be successful, they're gonna have to develop really good games for it, and that's what it's gonna take. And we have a pretty stellar library. I mean, you look at what we've gotten so far. We've gotten some AAA games even, which is super nice, even though they're not perfect. I mean, again, that's the technology being way ahead of what most VR developers are even capable of at this point, when there's still solutions being figured out. This product would have made more sense if VR was a little bit ahead of where it is as a whole, as the whole market is. So while there is some truth, again, while there's some truth to, saying that the market, thing, I don't like FCE going out and saying, what did they say here? The lack of support within the lack of support for VR within the industry has taken its toll, blah, blah, blah. The lack of launching games that aren't broken has taken its toll, I think. Oh, man. Anyways, you guys are so generous today. My goodness. But so that's basically all I got to say about, FCE shutting down. It sucks. I was really hoping that they would stick with it, stick it out, get the game updated. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting. Doesn't seem like that's going to happen now. So I've wasted $60 or whatever. And it's a double whammy. I've wasted money and not getting the game that I was hoping to get, which basically, like I said, all I wanted was Firewall 2, or Firewall Remastered. That's all it took. That's all I needed was Firewall Remastered. Kill Artist, the Dream Weaver, Gabe Cat says, hey there, AJ, happy early Christmas to you and everybody out there. Plus, I've been watching the Discord on NFL Pro Era 2. You're still stalking NFL Pro Era 2 today, and they finally released a huge patch for the PSVR2 version. So much so, I'm thinking about finally buying it. Well, I'll have to take a look at it when possible, man. I hope it's the real deal patch. Hopefully you can get some impressions. Let's see here. Freeman says, I think Bulletstorm is going to be the next great PSVR2 game. Well, I think in January. Oh, wait, no, that wasn't a set date. I don't think Vertigo 2 has a set date yet. But I am looking forward to Vertigo 2. Right now, the biggest developers that have, or the developers that have the biggest advantage are the smaller studios. That's why they're very, very important. And the smaller studios that know how to maximize visuals, gameplay, content, all these things with the cheapest costs and everything. I mean, again, this is not just a VR thing. The whole entire games industry is reeling right now. There's some crazy shit going on between layoffs at big studios, big companies. Sony's having a bunch of trouble with hackers, and studios are having trouble. I mean, it's mass chaos in the industry right now. So all I can say is, if there's a game that you love, make sure you're vocal about it. Make sure you support them with your money and and spreading the word, and because that's really the most support that they have right now is the word of mouth is obviously effective enough to change some of the top 10 charts each month. It's more because nobody's marketing for it. It's not being advertised very well. So just, that's, if you want to do your part, that's what you can do is just try to be vocal about supporting stuff. That's why I started doing this in the first place, because I really wanted to support the things that I felt were really good and weren't getting the attention they deserved. That's literally what drove me to start doing this in the first place. I was tired of seeing these awesome games that I really believed in get totally overlooked and no attention or love, and I thought they deserved some. Pietrek F, thank you so much for the donation, says, do you think in 2024 we will also get 3 AAA games? Well, we're getting at least one, which is Bulletstorm. We're getting that early January. I don't know if it qualifies as AAA, but Behemoth seems to be at least of AAA quality, hopefully. I think we'll get a lot of AAA quality games. it would be awesome. With everything going on right now, I mean, there's a change in leadership coming in, I think March is when Jim Ryan is leaving as CEO. So this is the thing. It is we're no doubt going to get some amazing games next year, but you have to keep in mind that there's a lot of changes going on behind the scenes. There's lots of things happening behind the scenes right now. So we might have to continue to be kind of patient. And like I said, don't worry about it. Don't go in expecting AAA game after AAA game overnight. We have seen that with Capcom, that they can, produce a AAA VR game in under a year, but I think we need to continue to be patient a little bit. I think obviously we'll get maybe some, we're going to get some huge games, no doubt, but in terms of like AAA developers and stuff, not so sure. Hopefully. I would love some more Gran Turismo 7, No Man's Sky, Resident Evil caliber games. But a lot of these games have to be made first. And right now we're going into next year not knowing a lot. We're going into next year with a lot of questions. And again, it's not just VR related, it's games industry related. There's a lot of rebuilding going on. So right now we're seeing, we knew that there was going to be some kind of post-COVID collapse, and this is basically the peak of it right now. We are in the peak of the post-COVID era collapse, where everybody was playing more games and staying inside more, and so studios got really overblown and bloated, and then now it's starting to scale back a lot, and we're seeing tons of layoffs and everything. So it's definitely, I find it, at the very least, I find it very interesting, kind of observing, standing from the outside looking in and observing what's going on with the industry. I think the industry is going to be fine in the end. I think we're going to get, I think gaming is going to be fine, obviously. But these are the kinds of things that happen sometimes. And at the very least, I do find them kind of interesting to watch and take note of. And, it kind of gives you new perspective, a better understanding of what actually goes on behind the scenes with game development. And, even stuff like the Sony first party AAA games, where Sean Layden warned about many, many times before, saying that it's not a sustainable model. So it's going to be very interesting to watch and see how this plays out. I think games can absolutely strive and survive and did I say strive? Thrive by kind of scaling things back a little bit overall. Again, this is why I've been such a big supporter of taking existing games and making VR modes. Now, at the end of the day, built from the ground up AAA games is like the future that we want. Stuff like this Asgard's Wrath game that comes out, this is where we want to be in the future. But right now, it really seems like the smartest transition kind of building period, where VR is still growing, things are still becoming standardized. It definitely seems like just taking existing games and adding VR modes, even if they're not perfect. Like I said, it's not going to be better than if the game was built from the ground up, but you can still get by and have awesome games and everything by having these existing games and IPs made into VR. Because unless you're if you're a small studio, an indie studio or something, with a really niche game that catches fire, something like Swordsman or whatever, that you're supporting 3-4 people, that's not the same as supporting an entire studio, like places like Vertigo Games or End Dreams are doing. A lot of their funding comes from a source, and that's why they're able to do these in bigger projects. But let's see here. Oh my goodness. I can't even keep up with your things. We are going to get badass games in 2024. No doubt about it. You better believe it. That's going to be happening, and it's going to be amazing. But with VR, as always, you never know where it's going to come from. The best games, you never know what the best games are going to be until they actually release. A lot of games that you think are going to be amazing end up not, and then games that you pay no attention to end up being really, really good, like a Crossfire Sierra Squad or something that just had no business being as good as it was. Drama with the 10 donations says it's payday for me today. Hell yeah, man. Thank you. It's payday for me too. I appreciate it, dude. Let's see. Bad Robo says, of course, not every game uses it, but still quite a large number of games use it. I'm not really interested in playing games with Quest 2 graphics. I want AAA on PSVR, and RE4 shows what can be achieved. But I don't think RE4 uses eye tracking, does it? I don't think it uses eye tracking with foveated rendering. I think it uses fixed foveated rendering. So I mean, yeah, it could look even better. It could. The thing that eye tracking does is it lets you have AAA graphics, but in native resolution without like without reprojection. So I think they could still get away with not using that. But I could be wrong though. I don't know. You're definitely more graphically technical minded than me. Obviously. Let's see here. But yeah, to me, it's the question of, would you want a cheaper headset that sells more and more developers can develop for and be successful on, or do you want just the best product possible? Let's see here. Shades of Gray Matter, Merry Christmas to you, man. Thank you for the donation. Says, were you disappointed that the Insomniac leak revealed they weren't working on anything VR? I was at least hoping they could port Stormlands and or their other VR games. I mean, yeah, a little bit, but to be honest with you, I wasn't really expecting them to I mean, I was hopeful for it, but I wasn't like anticipating it. I was just kind of hoping that they'd do something, but I think again, right now, Sony's kind of a mess, and Sony needs some time to recover and get their stuff together, get some new leadership, and stuff. I've talked about Sony's leadership ever since the end of 2019, and I don't know, man. I haven't been very hopeful for a lot of things ever since then. I was really happy with the last regime, and so I don't know how the people got into the places that they are right now in certain leadership positions, and I've been against it pretty much from the beginning. And this is basically what I feared happening, and we're seeing it unravel now. Luckily, we still have lots of things to be hopeful for. There's still lots of great things that are going to potentially happen. So, okay, so Bad Robo says RE4 does use eye tracking and foveated rendering in tandem, I guess. He says, do you remember what No Man's Sky looked like before adding foveated? Okay. Point taken. But yeah, again, I don't regret that they have those things. I'm just saying, it's it was a bold strategy. Let's see here. All right, guys. So, I think we need to move on to, I could really talk about this. This isn't the end of this conversation. I definitely want to continue this conversation week to week or whatever. But yeah, man, I think this is where we're at right now, and we're going to kind of leave it at that and move on because we got some games to talk about, baby. We had a couple new games released recently. And 3 new games, in fact. And yeah, man, let's talk about this. Starting with, it's interesting. The timing is interesting. Going back with Firewall's, FCE shutting down. but it's good timing for a little game called Breachers. Breachers Stealth released yesterday, and it's a funny story behind it because apparently it wasn't supposed to release, and the developer said that. We were like, oh, another stealth drop, which is usually not a good sign, and as it turns out, the game wasn't actually ready. They had a patch for it that was like a day one patch that was still in the works, and so they actually had to contact Sony and be like, hey, you released our game unfinished, we need to release a patch right now. So luckily the game did release, I think, for $29.99, and it did get updated. Luckily it didn't take too long. And this is, of course, some people were asking, is this the Firewall killer? Well, well, Firewall's dead, but it is not because of this game. But yeah, man, so I've been playing this game for a little bit. This is not the Firewall killer, guys. This is not, I mean, in a way it kind of evidently it is. I agree, Zero Signal. I mean, maybe it is. But this is, of course, the next tactical 5v5 multiplayer shooter, all PvP. The timing is crazy, you guys. The timing is crazy. I was literally going to be like, is Breachers the Firewall killer? But that was before Firewall died today. That was not on purpose. There's just crazy timing. What a coincidence. Firewall, Mr. Cape Canaveral says Firewall was never alive. But anyways, so this is a tactical 5v5 shooter, and it is interesting. It is a simple game mode, similar to Firewall. It does have like one kind of game mode where you you have one team that's attacking, one team that's defending, and you basically, yeah, man. So first impressions. Graphically, this game, it looks okay. This looks very much like a Quest 2 game that's been touched up a little bit. I was actually a little unimpressed with the graphics overall. They don't look bad. They look solid. But you go outside, there's like rock formations outside that are very low poly, stretched textures, and you know, it's got some, it looks okay. But here's the good part here, is that graphics aside, it is a little underwhelming, because whenever somebody says, oh, it's been enhanced for PSVR2, I get really excited. It probably has been enhanced, but it's not the PSVR2 looking game that we've come to expect and see. It's not as good as looking as Pavlov. It's not as good as looking as Firewall. It's not as good looking as some of these other games. Crossfire, graphically, it is very much seems like an indie dev team graphics kind of game. It maybe looks a little bit more on, it actually isn't even as good as looking as Alvo. It's probably the worst looking first person shooter, but again, it doesn't look that bad. It looks fine. It looks fine. Just the graphically, nothing to really get super excited about. What you should get excited about, however, is the gameplay and the game loop, because that's the one big strength of this game. Like I said, there's 5v5. You've got some people starting from the outside trying to make their way inside, depending on the level. And the tutorial, even going through the tutorial, this game has a nice tutorial with it. I love this. I love a lot of the mechanics. This game has some VRAF mechanics, things like grabbing corners, grabbing windows and pulling yourself in, grabbing ledges and popping yourself over. But here's what's really cool is the gameplay mechanics. The actual tactical nature of the gameplay is very, very cool. Here you can see we're rappelling from the side of a thing, the side of a building, and you can rappel, climb up. You can shoot your grappling hook and climb up, or you can hook the thing and climb down. But not only can you climb up and down, but you can also go side to side, and it drags your little grappling hook left and right as you go. Really, really good gameplay here. Very much like Rainbow Six in VR. That is correct. Very, very much like Rainbow Six. But it's mechanically, it feels very good. It definitely feels like a built from the ground up for VR kind of game. It also looks like one too. But no, it's fun. So here's the thing though. Each round starts out, you can see here, I am choosing my weapons loadout, similar to like Counter-Strike or more recently like Pavlov. There's not really like a big, at least from what I've seen so far, there's not a huge progression system. It's all round based where you purchase your weapons. There's 12 rounds that you play versus each other. And you have to basically, you each round you earn currency depending on how well you perform, and then you get to purchase items, weapons, sidearms. You can also purchase add-ons for these weapons by holding the weapon up and opening up the menu, and it'll show these attachments all around your gun, which you can purchase. The guns feel good, the sidearms feel good, the main guns feel pretty good. It's not the most balanced. Some guns are definitely way better than others. Dude, but this is where it's at right here. Right here in this gameplay footage, I'm showing the breach foam, which you, a lot of the items in this game, there's a couple great items, great mechanics in this game that are super cool to use. This feels very much like when you're playing as the good guys anyways, it feels very much like you're a tactical SWAT team or something. They call it breachers for a reason. Let's put it that way. They absolutely call it breachers for a reason, because the one squad is outside and they have to breach and get inside and disable these bombs that can go off or whatever. But a lot of these little items and tools that you can use are a big highlight of it. There's things like this breach foam. The grappling hook is awesome. It really makes for some awesome, intense standoff situations, especially swinging around and swinging on the side of a building and shooting at people, breaking through these barriers or whatever, these windows, these barricades, things like that. There's also things like a drone that you can use, and you can throw out the drone and then control it and let it fly around and stuff. I don't know if I use it here, but I think I was trying to use some of the foam. The foam is so fun to use because you spray it and then you hit the button and then it blows up. Lots of really cool tactical gear that they have. And yeah, man, I think the gameplay is where this game shines the most. Now, this game does have crossplay, which is good because VR games really need crossplay that can have it to keep the player base as steady as possible. On the weekdays during normal work hours and stuff, you're not going to find a ton of people playing this. It's not full lobbies. It's not, here's I'm punching open a window. And I'm on the grappling hook swinging through here, which is so cool, man. That is just freaking awesome. That's very unique for VR games anyways. It's got a lot of stuff that I love to see. But yeah, in terms of graphical quality, in terms of progression, depth, things like that, unfortunately, this game is not like that. It's more just, it's kind of like, I want to say a little bit like Pavlov, except it's limited to like one mode or two modes or whatever is in it. You can play against bots, which is nice. A lot of people always ask me whenever there's a multiplayer game like this, they're like, can you play offline versus bots? The good news is here, you can play offline against bots, and the AI is like, okay. I need to play it on hard. It's a little too easy on normal. It's way too easy on normal. So I'd like to play it on hard. Unfortunately, I haven't played it on hard yet. To see if it's actually fun and challenging by yourself versus, playing online. I've had mixed results playing online. I've been on a team where we wipe people. I've been on a team where I've gotten destroyed, had no chance. I've been on a team where I've destroyed everybody, and then, dude, I love using that foam for real. That is such a cool thing. I've been on a team where the people other side rage quit. We had to play against bots, and it was way too easy. This game does not have as much of an established player base as I had hoped for. Like I was really hoping this would be like booming with people and lobbies and stuff. Maybe this weekend, it will pick up a little bit. I'd imagine this weekend it probably will, but yeah, man, that's my highlights for this game so far. The gameplay is really, really fun. The mechanics are really good. I enjoy the game loop quite a bit, but on the drawback side, graphically, it's not bad, but it's just like okay. It's clear at least, but it's clear with maybe a little bit of blur shimmering some places. But graphically, like there's really blocky textures here and there. Like I said, it kind of looks like a quest game touched up. Scott, the PSVR game cap for life, you nailed it, man. At the end of the day, I think this is a good, solid game, but it falls a little bit more into the wait for a sale for me. As much as I'm enjoying it, I feel like they overcharge for this game a little bit. For $30, which I think is the price point, maybe I should double check that to make sure, but I believe it's $30. It's a lot of fun, but not everybody is going to be happy with that $30 price point. Usually you get something a little bit more polished, a little bit more depth, a little bit more content. This would have been a great $20 game. I'm not crazy about the $30 game. Xbox Hater says it's not solid when you have squeakers. So there are, I played with a bunch of people online in this, and I've had a mixed bag in terms of the player base. There's definitely a lot of kids playing this game, and some were annoying the shit out of me. I don't really get, I don't like mind playing with younger audiences and stuff, but some were being really freaking annoying and really obnoxious. And like, I was just like, it's just like cringe central. But the funny thing is, when we actually started playing, they were actually like, they were acting normal. But yeah, there's lots of kids in this game, unfortunately, that make it really annoying. So I'd highly recommend. I think you'll have the best experience with this game if you have your own squad to play with here, and go in there and play with some friends. You can have a good time. Playing with randos has been a bit of a mixed bag. Has not been the best experience so far, and unfortunately, when people rage quit, they put you up against bots, and it's not very fun against bots because it's too easy. It's really boring against the normal bots when you have like a team of people, like I said, which is not really in your control when the other team rage quits. But when there are full lobbies and stuff, it's definitely really, really fun. Like I said, I enjoy the game loop a lot. I think there's a lot of awesome creative mechanics. The game plays pretty smooth overall. A little bit of jitter here and there, but not much. But again, for $30, when you can get something like Crossfire Sierra Squad, which is like, I think, an amazing $30 game, or like A Song in the Smoke, in terms of polish, quality, content, things like that, I think you'll have a lot of fun. Some people, this will be fine for $30. Others, if you're not sure, if you're like really into first-person shooters and you play them over and over and over, like Pavlov and stuff, you'll have some fun with this. But if you're not, if you just like are curious about it, you might want to wait for a sale, is all I'm saying. It's pretty good though. Old Darth, but that's not the only game that came out recently. But yeah, overall, this is solid. I'm somewhere right now in maybe the mid to high 7s, if not an 8. Because like I said, I do really like the gameplay, and yeah, it's fun. Old Darth says, what's your favorite shooter on PSVR2? Man, there's a lot of shooters on PSVR2. I really love Crossfire Sierra Squad. I think that game is really incredible. Probably my favorite shooter next to, like, I don't know if the Resident Evil games count, but Crossfire, Sierra Squad, and Pavlov, and the Resident Evil games are my favorite shooters. So we got another game that came out of nowhere. This one is a little bit different. This is one that we've been waiting for a while, and this is Captain F Castle says 9 for me after 4 hours. We'll revise if necessary. That's good, man. I think Breachers is definitely a good game. Good game. I'm happy that we have it. The Light Brigade is a good shooter too, Looper. Y'all are funny. Okay, so another game that came out is called Tiger Blade, and this is an arcade style Korean first-person shooter with a very stylized art design, stylized musical track. It's actually got, I think, a K-pop soundtrack or something, and I guess the only, I'm not really familiar with that, but it's like the KDA band, I would say, the one that does that Beat Saber song. Obviously a very popular genre of music. But so there's this game, which is, I didn't have the highest expectations going into this one. But I'm happy to report, guys, this game's pretty solid. This game's actually a lot of fun so far. It's basically an arcade style game that mixes sword fighting with ninjas and shooting. And then, and there's some other little actiony elements. You see like the grappling hook where you kind of pull yourself through the level a little bit. Sometimes you pull yourself by slashing stuff. But guys, no, this game is actually a lot of fun so far. I'm actually really surprised by it. I thought that it looked okay, but typically when I've played games like this typically look cool, and then you play them and they're kind of underwhelming. I was surprised by this one, guys, because I am actually having a lot of fun with it. I think the gameplay is really good. Between the sword fighting is really fun. Switching between, it's like, kind of imagine Time Crisis with ninjas. Like, it's like if you mix Time Crisis with ninjas and you switch between sword fighting and shooting. It's actually a pretty damn good time. And graphically, it looks okay. It looks sharp enough. It kind of looks like very bare bones though, where it's like, I wouldn't say it looks like a Quest game. I think it looks a little bit better because of the lighting, the color, things like that. It's got like some shadows and stuff, so it doesn't look like the life is sucked out of it. It actually looks pretty decent overall. It kind of looks like a Sega game, like a Sega arcade game, and honestly, it kind of plays like one too. And for me personally, I love that. I absolutely love the fact that it plays and looks like a Sega arcade game in VR. Honestly, it's one of the genres that got me into VR because I love light gun arcade games, things like that. Brandon says Sega not good graphics. I know it's not like great graphics or anything, but it gets the job done. It looks good enough. And I think it makes up for the lack of, really amazing graphics with a cool art design, a fun art design. But I really am enjoying this game so far. It seems like there's like 9 levels, but then there's replay value, there's collectibles you can find, secrets you can shoot, like I got just there. They design it in a smart way in terms of like, you play through it once, but then there's secrets to go back for, and then there's also a speed run challenge for it as well, where you can try to blast through it as fast as possible, and you get like a 3-star rating and stuff. I didn't check to see if there was a platinum trophy. I wish I did, because this would be a possible fun game to platinum. But I like this game a lot, actually. Bad Robot says the game has shadows. Welcome to the PS2 era. You mean PSVR2, right? Et.2k9.now says, do you like it better than Arashi? Arashi on PSVR2? Yeah, absolutely. There was a game there was a game that came out. I don't know if y'all remember. There was a game called Ninja Legends that came out on PSVR1, and I was like really excited to try that game out. I was like, yes, arcade ninjas, what's not to love? Well, the game came out and I was really underwhelmed with it. I did not like it very much. This is not the same case here. This is actually a pretty damn good game. It's a lot of fun. If you like arcade shooters, I highly, highly recommend this. And as far as the soundtrack goes, it's not my type of music. Some of it I'm not crazy about, but I actually do like some of the music and some of the soundtrack. I'm digging it. It's fun. But the only problem with this, yes, I do remember Ghost Squad. I have Ghost Squad like right over there. I also have Ninja Assault. I don't have Vampire Knight anymore. I wish I did. I've got Time Crisis. I've got all those things. I love arcade shooters. I love light gun shooters. This is one of the better ones that I've played. This is up there. This might. It's hard to say whether or not this is better than. I think I would say this could be better than Crisis Brigade 2. And I like Crisis Brigade 2. But this feels more balanced mechanically. Crisis Brigade 2 is very much a cover fire simulator where you a lot of the time you're stuck behind, you have to, basically hide and stick your arm out and shoot, and this is not like that. This has really fun and balanced gameplay where it mixes up the shooting and the slicing constantly, and it feels fair, it feels balanced, and it feels kind of challenging. I like it a lot, man. Look at, I'm just mowing down ninjas here. And then it switches to the shooting here. This game is much less. This game is not a blind fire simulator like Crisis Brigade, and so I think I got to give it a little bit of an edge because of that gameplay wise. Crisis Brigade looks, I think looks a little bit better, but I like the gameplay. But no, this game is awesome, man. I do recommend it, but I do think again they maybe charge a little bit too much for this. Listen, nobody wants to pay $25 for an arcade game at the end of the day. I know you can get $25 worth out of it, but nobody's looking to pay $25 for an arcade game experience, even though the game kicks ass. I will flat out say that it kicks ass. It's really good. I don't know about $25 for this. I'd maybe go like 15 or 20. Even just a small discount. I'd say wait, if you're gonna wait for a small discount. A little discount will go a long way with this game, to feel like you get your money's worth. The only downside of the game too is that it has snap turning, which I don't like. I don't like snap turning, but I think the developers said that they are going to implement smooth turning at some point. So hopefully that. But this game is much better than a lot of the other arcade games we get. So not bad, man. Not bad. And also there's boss fights in this, and the boss fights are fun so far. I've only played the first boss, but I actually really like the boss fights in this. They're pretty cool. Good balanced gameplay, good arcade gameplay, good mix of sword fighting and shooting, and there's good replay value with some of the collectibles and stuff. It makes you want to do it. But that's not, of course, there's yet another game that came out. DJ Dirty Yellow says, bro, we can't be cheapskates. Y'all are all cheapskates. Myself too, though. No, I mean, we don't have infinite money, man, and when you got 100 games to choose from, you got to do it wisely. And, I'm there with you, man. I love supporting games, buying them day one, full price, if I can. As a reviewer, I'd go completely broke having to play everything, and I'm not going to pay for every single game because it's just not feasible. Bad Robo says, are there scoreboards? Yes, there are leaderboards in Tiger Blade for sure. What is up, Brax Bro and Peter Venables, Danishing Act, all of you. It's good to see you guys today. Happy holidays. Smoke them all up. Oh, there are trophies. Okay, good. Brandon says, is it better than Crossfire Sierra Squad? No, but that's a high bar. To me, Crossfire Sierra Squad is S tier, like S tier. That is a fantastic game. Do not let that game go overlooked. That's the kind of game. Crossfire Sierra Squad is the kind of game that I'm going to be jumping up and down saying we need to support this game because it's really good, has lots of content, lots of polish, and is freaking fantastic. That's the kind of game that I will be jumping up and down about constantly and mentioning constantly because that's a game that I feel needs more support for how good it is. Nobody expected it to be as good as it is. Right, hold on. I gotta stop the show for a second. Brax Bro says, not to sound creepy, but AJ, you were in my dream last night. It was a dream where I got a PSVR2 and you were the first person I told about it. Aw, I'm so touched. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad I've incepted your dreams now. Oh, y'all are crazy. I love y'all. Fiat says, I want Far Cry for Christmas. Yeah, Far Cry VR would be a cool thing to have for sure. Again, we need more games. Take existing IPs, take existing games, just give us VR modes. Like, doesn't, the more perfect, the more built from the ground up, the better. But I think Resident Evil 4 is perfect proof that it doesn't have to be perfect to be amazing for us. We will compromise where we need to in order to get these games. Not completely, but in some places. All right, guys. And the last game that came out recently, actually, I think there was something else, but I might not have played it yet. Oh, no. It was an announcement that I missed, but that's okay. I think it's a puzzle game and I don't care. St. Nicholas Gamer, the holidays game cat says, dang AJ, you have your work cut out for you today. I'm almost out of chores to do while I listen to this. Well, I'm glad I could keep you company. I know, man. I played Masternoid, man. I didn't even I had to cut, I'll mention it now, but I had to cut Masternoid from the list, but Masternoid got a Christmas update, some Christmas levels. Shout out to Masternoid. Also a very good small game. But the last game I want to talk about today before we go through some sale highlights is Ven VR Adventure. Now, I don't know if you've heard, but I'm a big fan of 3D platformers, first-person or third-person platformers in VR. I'm a big fan of this. Some of my favorite games include Moss. Moss was my original most anticipated game on PSVR after I'd gotten a headset. The first thing I was looking forward to the most was Moss. Can you guess what my second most anticipated game coming to PSVR was? If you guessed Astrobot, you are correct. So those are, while we got a remaster of Moss, we're still waiting on either a remaster of Astrobot or a sequel, which would be really, really nice. Please, God, let it happen. But in the meantime, if you've played through Moss and you need a 3D platforming picks, behold, Ven VR Adventure, which I've been waiting for 3 years to come to PlayStation VR2. Here's some of my gameplay here. Marcus McIntyre says, still waiting on Knack. Ven VR Adventure came out, and it is, of course, a 3D platformer. And it's pretty good, man. Visually, this game was kind of advertised as like a stunning, really, really stunning game visually. And here's the thing. It has its parts. Like, this game, one thing that's really nice about it is that it doesn't seem to use reprojection. It uses native resolution, native frame rate. It is very, very smooth, and it is very sharp. If you're one of those people that like the games, like, if you like stuff like the way Saints and Sinners looks or Red Matter looks, this has more of that sharpness to it. Not everywhere, though. Not everywhere. A lot of the main level stuff, like you see here, looks really nice, looks really sharp. The special effects look really good. But there are some textures along the paths here and there where it's like you've got this really high resolution looking textures that look beautiful. these special effects that look beautiful. These things you're collecting look great. Ven looks awesome. But then you'll like randomly encounter like a section where the textures, like especially on like this like level where there's like some stone pillars or something, there's like this like stone or tile or something where it's like all of a sudden there's like this random low res, like really low res textures that pop out in random places. Not a fan of that. Also, the backgrounds themselves, like you can't really see it here very well, but in the far, far, far background, I'm talking like outside of the level, they've got this like flat kind of JPEG image looking thing, and it's lower resolution in the backgrounds. And instead of being like looking around in awe around the map, you look way out in the distance and it's like, it looks kind of ugly. But other than that, other than some low res textures here and there, and the backgrounds of the game not looking super great, this actually does look really good in several places overall. Like I said, the level stuff you see here all looks really good. Graphically, this is a very good looking game, I would say. It's not Astrobot levels or Moss levels of polish visually, but it is good looking. The other cool thing is here, so when it comes to platformers, this is a genre that I grew up with a lot, and I'm pretty good at platformers overall because I'm just very experienced with them. When you grow up on things like Ninja Gaiden and Mega Man and Mario, that'll happen, in Crash Bandicoot. But this is very similar to a character-driven platformer like a Crash Bandicoot or something, and I absolutely adore it for that. This game is very, very charming. And I really like the character of Ven a lot. I think he's got a really cool design. He's really fun to interact with in VR. You can give him head scratches. You can make a fist, and he'll fist bump you. Yeah, man, like I said, this game is actually solid so far. I'd say it's pretty good. It's a decent platformer. It has fun, good, charming design. It's got solid gameplay. There's the thing that I like about it is that you can replay the levels for time trials. There's a time trial that you can activate and try to speed run the levels and beat as fast as you can. There's also, like Crash Bandicoot, you get it kind of rewards you or there's like a bunch of boxes. Like you want to get all the boxes, you want to get all those little symbols, collect all those things. So it's a little bit of a platformer collectathon, and then there's some melee combat in there as well. And it's pretty good so far, man. One thing I gotta say is a big standout is the soundtrack. I love the soundtrack in this game. It has wonderful music. Let's see if I can play some of the music here real quick. I don't know. This might be some random. That's not the music. That was a donation. I don't know if you can hear the music from here. Maybe I should shut up. But the game actually has a fantastic soundtrack. That's really, really good. I love the music in this game. Like I said, for the most part, the graphics are really good, and the gameplay is solid. It is definitely better than Lucky's Tale VR, which had atrocious gameplay minus the time trials. Yeah, I'm digging this game so far. It's not like blow your mind like a Moss or Astrobot, but it's solid. It's a good, solid, good time so far from what I've played. Minus one thing. I wish this game, I do wish, if I had one critique of this game, is that I wish they doubled down on it a little bit more. Like, I know that they've worked on this game for years. I do wish they kind of polished it up just a tiny bit more in terms of like the ways you can interact with and connect with Ven would be a little bit better. I love that you can scratch his head. I love that you can fist bump with him. I don't know how much more you could do with that, but I wanted to do like more things to interact with him a little bit more. Like it makes it more immersive and fun. But he's a solid, cool character. There's these secret little mini Vens or mini Eckies, I think they call them, that are everywhere too. Kind of like how in Astrobot Rescue Mission, you had to collect the little Astros around. They're also in this game as well. There's Bad Robo says, how long is it? I don't think it's the longest game. I mean, probably just a couple hours at best, or just a couple hours long. However, there is replay value in terms of, like I said, collectibles and collecting all the stuff. And then there's time trials here. I actually, this next level, I'm such a dum-dum. This next level, I meant to show off some time trials gameplay and try to do it, but in this next section, I forgot to hit, there's a thing you have to activate the time trials, and I forgot to do that. So I basically speed run this next level without even getting credit for the speed run. The sad part is that there's no platinum trophy. So for me, that hurts, because games like this, platformers like this, or there's certain genres that I absolutely love. You know, I did not like Lucky's Tale VR very much, but I loved going for the platinum in that. And I think a platinum trophy really makes up for, you know, if you enjoy these types of games, and this is the type of game that I would enjoy playing over and over. Here we go. Here's where I go for the speed run. I'm supposed to step on that dial to the right there, and I just run right past it and forget, because I thought that the time trial had already started. And so I basically speed run this level without hitting the time trials. Whoopsie. There's only one. Whoa. There's only one. I went all blurry for some reason. Sony's trying to censor me. There's only one big standout problem I've seen with this game so far. Maybe not huge, but I was really excited to hear that this game had boss fights, and I was very excited about that until I encountered the first boss fight. And the first boss fight actually is not Ven versus somebody. It's actually the first boss fight, which is at the end of this footage. I don't know if we're going to make it in time. I'm probably going to be done talking about it before I get to show off the footage. But the first boss fight I encountered in this was kind of, and there is sometimes a problematic camera, just like right there. The camera, it can go a little out of whack sometimes. It doesn't happen often, but and I've got it set to the free camera mode. But yeah, the boss fight, the first boss fight, kind of tries to imitate Beat Saber, and oof, Salvador, that boss fight is really weak. Whenever somebody tries to imitate Beat Saber, and they don't do a very good job of it, it's bad. And so like the first boss fight of this game was very underwhelming. It tries to do a Beat Saber thing where you're slicing bombs at this robot that's shooting missiles at you. And unfortunately, it doesn't have good mapping. It doesn't have good rhythm to the slicing. It's kind of like, oh, look, we did our own Beat Saber thing, but it sucks. Other than that, though, I have been enjoying this game overall. I wish it was a little bit more polished and fleshed out. It's good, though. It's not bad. For $20, it's not bad. I think of the three games, this feels like a $20 game. At the very least, $15. But that's being picky. I just wish it was a little bit more polished in some ways. And honestly, I'm a little upset that the developers are working on a different game, the bare knuckle boxing game. Maybe it'll be a wise decision for them in the long run, but I feel like if they spent more time on this, they could really make this game feels like it is close to being something super special, like a Moss or an Astrobot. But unfortunately, they've moved on to a new game. But I do think this could be a Moss or Astrobot tier if they continue to work on it, continue to add content, flesh it out, polish it up. It really could have been on that level. And unfortunately, it just falls short of that. The good news is those are really high bars. So it's still decent. I don't think that this game is like amazing, but I do like it a lot. I do like this game a great deal. And I do hope to see a couple more updates for it, a couple more, a little bit more polish, things like that. But I'm enjoying my time with it overall. I think if you need something to mix up from all the horror games, from all the shooting games, from something like that, this would be a nice little change up. But at the very least, it's another wait for a sale game. But if you want to show some support for, you know, a 3D platformer, which I'm totally with. I actually, even though I received a review key for this game, I purchased it for Julia because we both love platformers, and I want to support this game in more ways, and I feel good about spending $20 on it. I think it's a good, fair price point, and yeah, man, I'm down with it. I paid for this game despite getting review keys. And if you're a Patreon member, one of these lovely people down here, hopefully you grabbed one of the keys that I gave away as well. But yeah, I just asked for a review key and they gave me a shit ton of them. And I was like, oh, okay. And I ended up giving up the rest to the Patreon. So shout out to the Patrons. Let's see here. Salvador says it's more like that one. Oh, here we go. We'll actually get to see, but before we move on to the sale, we'll get to see the boss fight real quick. Salvador, you are right on the money, my friend. He says it's more like that one rhythm game that that feels like you're popping balloons. You are absolutely right here. I wish they would have done more. Again, that's where the lack of there's a couple little unpolished edges, I would say. The game is mostly polished overall, but there's definitely a couple parts here and there that could be more polished. You are absolutely on the money there, where it feels like you're playing Dragon Ride VR or Rollercoaster. What was that? Darkness Rollercoaster, where they try to rip off the Beat Saber thing. And there's horrible mapping. It's supposed to be to the music. The way that it's mapped, the way that the gameplay feels is awful here in this part that you're about to see. This snow area, by the way, looks beautiful. This looks great, super high resolution. But here's a look before we move on to the game on sale. This is the boss fight I was talking about. I will go ahead and blow it up full screen. This section right here, I was like, they're cool. Like, I was really excited. I'm like, I get swords, blades on my hand. Now this is supposed to be to the music. Here, I'll go ahead and turn the music back on. This feels very bad. This does not feel visceral. It does not feel weighty. The mapping is not very good. Let's hear it real quick. This is the only part of the game that I have not liked so far, and I appreciate them trying to get creative with it, but I think they really messed this part up. This mapping sucks. The feeling of the slicing sucks. It does not feel good to play this part, and it's distracted. This also looks very bad. Yeah, this is the only part of the game that I think really sucks so far. I haven't beaten this game. I hope there's nothing else like this in the game, because this is a very bad Beat Saber ripoff. This is my biggest criticism, besides not having a platinum trophy. That part, you guys, was god awful. But like I said, overall, I'm definitely enjoying the game. But that part sucks. I wish they did better mapping with it, made it feel better. Maybe, you know, if you play Moss, Moss does a wonderful job of kind of having you like multitask, like doing stuff with both Quill and doing stuff with the environment. Moss does the best. Well, I guess Astrobot does some amazing boss battles too, but Moss does the best, like kind of multitasking mechanics in a way. Moss or Astrobot does that best, but yeah, that wasn't very good. But the game itself overall, I'm enjoying. I wish there was a platinum trophy for it though. And we've always heard the same excuse from developers saying, "Oh, Sony has certain requirements for platinum trophies." Well, I think you messed up, because a platinum trophy will guarantee sales, and as far as that Sony's requirement thing, I've seen a 30-minute game have a platinum trophy. There's no excuse for this not to have a trophy. What up, super cool video, bro? I guess there was another game which maybe I could mention real quick. I did mention this before. There was a stealth drop of another game that came out of nowhere. Your Long Shadows, my old friend, good to see you. Says, what was your favorite tracks in the new Rollercoaster game? That's right. There was actually a free Rollercoaster game that came out as well, and I highly recommend checking this out because it's free. It's absolutely free. But Epic Rollercoaster dropped on the store. And here's the thing about this game, guys, is that it's free to download, and it comes with a couple tracks to go on, and then it has a bunch of DLC for it as well. But here's the thing, is that really, I haven't played all of the DLC tracks, but I really like the dinosaur. I really like the dinosaur track. I really like the Falling Rock one was pretty good. The base tracks are actually pretty good with this. The free ones are good. Where it gets kind of iffy is the paid DLC. Some of the paid DLC, the tracks are shit. And that's how they get you, right, Julia? Some of the paid tracks are absolutely crap. And then but there's some good ones as well. This fantasy one is like okay. The dark forest or whatever was okay. It was not amazing, but it was okay. But yeah, I really like the free tracks that come with it. Other than as far as the paid tracks, I like the snowy track, and I like there was one other one, I don't remember, but majority of the DLC tracks have not been good for this. But shout out to Epic Rollercoaster. We need more roller coaster games in VR, guys. We are running really long here, so let's go ahead and close things out for the day with the PlayStation Network sale. As always, okay, so I usually go through and rate each and every game, thumbs up and thumbs down. We're gonna kind of do a speed run version of that, and just kind of blast through this real quick and go for the highlights here. Resident Evil 4 is $29.99. This is an absolute must-have. It is one of the best games of the year. It's a AAA VR game. Highly recommend. Absolutely yes. No Man's Sky, also amazing. You can get this game physical for a lot cheaper. Usually like as cheap as like $10 or something. So maybe if you want to save some money, get it. If you're just doing all digital, or if you have digital only, you should absolutely buy this. It is one of the most stunning, amazing games on PSVR2. Here is where things get absolutely crazy, you guys. Resident Evil Village is $15.99. Good freaking God. This is an absolute steal. AAA game. This is why I say don't release Breachers for $30, or don't release your arcade shooter for $25, because how are you going to compete against Resident Evil Village going for $15.99? That's insane. Ghostbusters Rise of the Ghost Lord is $27.99 or $43.99. Boo, no. Skip that one. Again, you know what? I'm not even gonna talk about the no's. I'm just gonna talk about the yeses here. Crossfire Sierra Squad, guys, buy and support this game. It's amazing. If you're even remotely interested in breachers or you like first-person shooters, you have to play this game. If you didn't like the fact that it had like arcade-style stuff in it before, well, now they've got options to customize it a little bit more. They've done some post-launch support for it. You have to buy, from this sale, you have to buy Village, and you have to buy Crossfire Sierra Squad. You have to buy The Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners Chapter 2, Retribution. Pistol Whip is great. That price isn't like a must-have price, though. Green Hell is kind of a good price, and Green Hell now has been updated, which is nice. So I would actually recommend Green Hell at $19.99. Swordsman is a good deal for $12.99, but it's not a must-have right now. Walkabout Mini Golf is a must-have. However, they've got all this DLC for it. I wish they just had like the hole-in-one edition so you could get the whole thing. Damn, After the Fall for $13 is a pretty damn good deal. But I would still it's not a must-have game by any means. The Seventh Guest for $23.99. If you love puzzle games, maybe. But if you don't love puzzle games, this game is super puzzly. That's all it is, and it's kind of a slog to get through. But it is a good game. It's a good game, just not like an amazing game. If you're nostalgia for the original, yeah, maybe. Drums Rock for $13.99. If you need a good rhythm game, this is a great deal for this. Still avoiding Hell Sweeper until they fully update it. Vampire the Masquerade Justice. If you want a mini AAA game, $20 ain't bad for that. That is a good price for that game, considering it's brand new. Oh, what's that? Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold the show. Fifth with the donation says the games I want to play on VR today, I could with a PC and a Quest 3. Maybe next year I cheat on Sony. I don't know what that means. But okay. I don't think you could. You can't get, I mean, maybe some of these mods, but I have to disagree with you there. Hard disagree. Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil Village, Gran Turismo 7. Good luck playing that on a PC. Literally the greatest, what I think is probably maybe the greatest VR game of all time, at least the most immersive. Yeah, that's not gonna really work that way. But as always, the best of both worlds is having everything. Not everybody can do that, or not everybody wants to, but obviously having every system, everything is the best way to go. Here's another absolute steal, you guys. Propagation Paradise Hotel for $14.99. Absolutely terrifying, and very much like Resident Evil 1. If you like Resident Evil games, you should also get Propagation Paradise Hotel for $14.99. That's a great price for that game. I like Zombieland Headshot Fever. I'd like to see it a little cheaper, though. Zenith the Last City has some major updates coming, but I'm not a big fan of that game on PSVR2. Thumper for $5.99, a must. The Light Brigade for $18.74, excellent game. Oh, there's also, this is without the PlayStation Plus, so some of these prices are actually even lower. Wait a minute. Puzzling Places had a Dracula's Dinner Halloween special? How did I miss that? I like Puzzling Places, but yeah, it's all right. I mean, if you just need something to chill with, I don't know. It's not my first choice. Last Clockwinder is pretty good. Let's see here. Ghost Signal for $12.99. I think that's from the last sale. That's pretty good. Toss has been getting some love lately. That's a good price for it. I'm not crazy about the game, though. But yeah, man, those are pretty much... Ooh, Masternoid. I gave some love to Masternoid. I do recommend Masternoid. I do wish it was a little bit cheaper than this because of just its being a simple game. But the big winners here, guys, Resident Evil Village. You got to have, hopefully you already have Resident Evil 4. Crossfire Sierra Squad, Resident Evil Village, and Walkabout for $10 is pretty damn good. And Propagation Paradise Hotel. These are the hottest deals that I'm seeing here on this thing here. 24 for Synapse ain't bad either. How much is it with PlayStation Plus? 24, $125. Yeah, I still wish Synapse was $20, but not bad. That's some good stuff, man. Well, guys, thank you so much. Mr. Cape Canaveral says Toss is a fun game. Let me see before we get out of here. Mark Dow says Propagation looks almost too scary. I want to be scared, but not scared shitless. I'm going to be honest with you. It's pretty goddamn scary. Propagation Paradise Hotel is absolutely scary as shit. It's got both. It's got really bad jump scares, and it's also got some just really tense parts. But yeah, it gets you pretty good because with Propagation Paradise Hotel, there's zombies all throughout the hotel, and you never know when they're going to jump up. I think they're randomized, so sometimes you just never know. It scared the shit out of me. But that being said, it was super fun, and I highly, highly recommend it. It also looks brilliant. It plays really well. It's got a lot of VRAF mechanics. Good shit. Absolutely agree with Bad Robo. $15 for Propagation. Absolute no-brainer. Pietrek F says, Seventh Guest is best puzzle narrative game on PSVR2. Yeah, Nick Mulo seems to like that as well. Very good stuff. Your Long Shadow says, please support Vampire the Masquerade. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that game as well. I wish I had my box with me. They sent me something actually after I was jumping up and down saying this game is awesome. And if anyone was concerned about bugs or anything, I saw that they did release a huge patch for the PSVR2 version. I played it pre-patch and it was great. And then they did a day one patch, which apparently broke a lot of shit. And then they repatched it again. So Awesome Tatum agrees that Drums Rock is so worth $15, $14. I'm with you there. I love Drums Rock, dude. I'm a big fan of that game. As a drummer in real life, I'm a big fan of that game. That's one of my more favorite rhythm games. I like it more than the Unplugged one. Sanador says, what up, Sanador? The Game Tiger says, Vampire is like Dishonored in VR. Worth it? Yeah, totally, man. I loved Vampire the Masquerade. Let's see here. So all of us, there's some really good games on sale here. Nick Mulo says Synapse is a must-have. Super cool video, bro. Says Silver Nexus says I agree. Yeah, in terms of the first time playing through it, Synapse is great. Little not the greatest depth, but what up, Gamer Tag? Good to see you, homie. Yeah, pretty crazy day indeed, but honestly, the writing's been on the wall for a minute in terms of First Contact Entertainment. I went into a long discussion about it. But guys, no, you're the best. Oh, Barbaria is on sale. Yeah, that's a great game. Barbaria. Thank you, Gray Rocks. What was Barbaria on sale for? I didn't mean to miss that. Oh, it was right here. Dude, oh my God, Barbaria for $13.99. That's an absolute must-have. As much as I love Masternoid, wait for a little bit of a deeper sale on it. Dude, Barbaria for $13.99. That is sick. That is absolutely awesome. That is an excellent price for that. Yeah, absolutely pull the trigger on Barbaria for $13. That's nuts. Regos Pantaleon says, is Star Wars worth $30? If you're really like a huge Star Wars fan, sure. It's that's the best price we've seen on it for a while. I definitely think the game is worth $30 for sure. Because it comes with all the DLC and everything. Anything else you guys got for me? Well, guys, Oh, super cool video, bro. Word of caution, super cool video, bro. Not a fan of Star Wars. I'm not the biggest fan of it either. I think it's all right. I don't know, man. Some people seem to love it, some people not so much. I think for me personally, I'd say no. I'd say pass on Star Wars. But I think $30 is not the worst price for it. That's the best price we've seen for it a while. Nick Mulo, how the hell do you have 75 hours in Synapse? That's crazy, man. That is crazy. I mean, after like 5 hours, you had to be playing the same thing over and over. All right, guys. Well, guys, this will not be the last time I see you before Christmas. I will likely see you some this weekend. But hopefully, anyways. But for those, everyone, I'm wishing you all a very Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy all the things. Y'all be good, be safe, have fun out there, enjoy your PSVR2s, and 80 hours in Poker Stars, woo-wee. Got your money's worth at least. It was good to see a lot of you that I haven't seen in a while. Your Long Shadows, Sanador, a lot of yous. Guys, as always, let's get out of here with some metal. Wishing you all the best. Hit me up for some multiplayer this weekend. I'll see you guys very, very soon. Once again, y'all take it easy. Cue the Astrobot. Guys, you have a wonderful weekend. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. If you're busy and don't get time to hang around, Drama Pajama, ciao, St. Nicholas and Amer, the holidays, Game Cat, that name's really hard to say, Salvador, peace out, homie, Mark Smith, much love to you, back to you, my friend. Awesome Tatum, Flame Hat, the Game Cat, fire, 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 says smash that like button. Nick Mulo, thank you so much. Steve IRE says Sriracha. Oh my God, I have eaten Sriracha 3 times or 2 or 3 times since our last discussion. Apparently everybody says Sriracha, but last time I checked, it's not a sir anybody. it's Sriracha, okay? Leave me alone. Move Master Mick. Imzade, Merry Christmas to you. Salvador, Shapeshifter, the Animorph Game Cat, Guy Sud, fist bump to you. Awesome Tatum, we need to play some Crossfire Sierra Squad soon. Subtle Eel, thank you, and I love your name. Butter something, Merry Chrysler and Happy Honda days. I love it. Mr. Cape Canaveral, Old Darth, Brandon VR, Gabriel 004, the License Me Out Game Cat, Silver Nexus, my dude. Thank you so much. Guys, thank you all for your donations today, man. I really, really appreciate your support, as always, man. Sriracha, Faith says Vertigo 2 is my next must-buy, maybe. Most likely. From what I've played, it likely will be, my friend. Ooh, yeah. Gray Rocks. Game Cat Chicago. Now I want a Chicago dog with some Sriracha on it. Markio, the Sleepless Night Underground Game Cat. All of yous, be good. Take care of one another. Be good to yourself and others, always. And, yeah, man. I'll see y'all again very soon. Later. AP. Smoke them all up. Chrome Colossus, Bad Robo.